Hi everyone, welcome to my super easy beginners playlist. Today we're going to have a go at an elephant and I'm going to show you how to draw with a brush. I'm going to make it really simple. I have got a round number 10 and a round number 6. I've got a Cotman palette. I shall pop a link for that in the description. I've got a bit of Saunders Waterford. It's 5.5 inches by 7.5 inches and my water pot, and I've got a photo reference. So the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to turn the photo upside down. Now this might sound mad, but it will make you look at the shape rather than the elephant, and that's my first top tip for drawing anything directly onto the paper, or drawing whatsoever. If you are struggling to draw something, then this is a great way for you to stop thinking of it as the object and think of it as the shape. So we're going to be looking at the shapes as we go. So I'm going to use some cadmium yellow. I've got my round number 10, I've loaded it with water, I've loaded it with the yellow, and we're going to start to look at the shapes that we've got. Coming on, I'm drawing those shapes with the brush. So I'm starting here. I'm coming upwards. So I know this is a leg, but to all intents and purposes, it can be anything. It is a shape, and it's the shape that I am worrying about. Focusing on getting that shape. The bigger brush you can use, the better at this stage, because you want it to stay nice and fluid. This paint needs to stay nice and fluid. Because we're coming on to dry, we're just focusing all the time on the shape. I'm thinking overall shape. I'm not worried about shadow. I'm not worried about detail. I'm looking at this overall shape. If you look at the spaces behind, the negative spaces, they're called negative spaces, that will help you identify whether you've got everything in the right place. I'm not going to turn it the right way round until the very end. We're working with this as it is. This is just to prove to you that you can do it this way. If I swap down to around number 6 now, and I'm going to come in with this. This is burnt umber, but I want you to use whatever you've got. So if you've got another dark colour, use that. Just going to dot in where this dark is going to be. So we're going to start to build some of this up. Again, I'm looking at the shapes. This is still nice and wet because I've used that big brush and I've moved quickly and it's fluid. Some of it will be drier. That's fine. This is a lessening drawing with the paintbrush. So I'm looking at creases, I'm looking at folds, I'm looking at directions, and I'm just starting to get some of this dark in. Rinse my round number 6 off. I'm actually going to pick up a tiny bit of cadmium red. So where it's warmer, I'm just going to flow a little bit of that cadmium red in. So you're just getting a little bit of a different tone in places. I've missed some shadow down here, so I'll just go back into the burnt umber here. There we go. And a little bit just here. That's a bit more shadowed there. Okay, I'm going to dry this one off. Okay, so that is nicely dry. I'm going to let you turn it around now. So the reason I'm going to do that is because I fear I might lose you on the video if I don't. And I think you will see how to put the detail in much better. So you can see there, I've got an elephant by magic. It's just appeared. And that's because I followed the shapes rather than worrying too much about what an elephant looks like. And that's what turning something upside down does for you. Okay, so I have got my round number 6. I'm going to squeeze this in so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to start to pick out now some of the detail, and we're just going to use the burnt umber that we've used. So I'm looking now for these sorts of shapes. So if I come in and get this line here, I'm drawing with the brush, keep dipping in. This is my round number 6. Wiggling in this detail. I'm looking at the shapes the tone is creating. It's that tone that I'm picking up. So this nice shape on the head, I'm just picking that out. You can draw those little angles. You can see that coming to life. There's a little bit more coming in here. What's quite good is when you've got these sorts of shapes in, it helps you then reference another shape. If I rinse my brush out, dab it off, and then pick up a little bit of water, I can start to flow some of this around. So I'm just touching into little areas, just so it's not all hard. And there's a bit here that I want to flow that way, that line, just so that it starts to come together. I can just touch the top of this, so it's just gently softening little bits in. Now this here, I did leave a little bit of light here, so that's quite useful for me to see. And I'm just going to get this dark bit in here. I've just actually painted it by accident there. You can see the bit I'm aiming for. And that's going to bring out the ear. A bit thicker paint in there. And then I can run a little bit down the leg. And a little bit down the edge of that leg. All of these little types of exercises are really useful in your brush control and your ability to be able to see shape. So you should never discount doing something like this, even if it's never going to make a finished picture. It's all about practice. Let's bring a little bit there, wet my brush, just soften a little bit in. We're just going to soften that edge in there. So that's bringing it round nicely. Okay, I need you to be able to see this at the same time. If I pop that there, so you can see what I'm aiming for. Okay, so I've got this dark under here. It's nice and dark. Dark under there. A little bit of dark down this leg. I've got a bit of an angle already here. I'm going to accentuate that angle a little bit more. Just pop in a few lines there. That's going to work quite nicely. So this is a wet brush. I'm just softening in. So this is wet in one side there. So that it's all starting to come together. Okay, so it's very hard to see any detail for a face, but I can see a tiny little bit of an eye. So if I'm looking where the eye is placed in relation to the shadow, I can come in and just create a little dot there. I'm just going to bring in the side of the head there as well. Now I would like that dot to be a bit darker, so I'm going to use a little bit of blue as well, because blue and brown make a very good black. So if I just keep dotting in with both of those, that'll make it a little bit darker there. And I'll just let that settle a minute, and then I'm going to soften that in a little bit. Just softening that ear there. If I pick up a little bit of cerulean blue, so this is just to give it an extra bit of tone now. A bit of a cool tone in places, so I'm just bringing a wash of this blue. So it's quite an abstract elephant, but it's showing you how easy it is to actually draw with your brush and create something rather beautiful. These little flashes of colour, I'm just using it really as a mid-tone. So I've got some extra tone in there. You can take a tiny bit of the cadmium red in again as well if you want in places. See, I'm drawing round with the brush. You're getting that cylindrical feel by drawing round. I'm coming down the ears and come around the legs. So there's lots of different brush strokes you can do to create a really nice effect. That's working really nicely now. So I've just dried my brush off. I'm just seeing if I can come into the eye. Now it's starting to settle, and just pull a bit of this like an eye crease all the way around really. I'm going to go down to my rigger. So I just get a really nice dark, this here is a dark mix of these two. And I can just come back in, get a nice dark edge there. Just going to bring in a little bit more detail, and then I can soften that in around the eye. So damp brush, just soften those little bits in. Okay, I'll dry that one off. Okay, so that's nicely dry, and then I've just got to put these tusks in. So if I just use a little bit of the blue, just doing those 2 lines, and then a damp brush, I'm just going to run it on the top edge of the line. I'll get that happening there, and I'll dry that off and take the tape off. Okay, so I have pretty much finished, but I've realised that if I use a little bit of my dark and my rigger, I can come in and create a few little creases and wrinkles on the elephant. So I'm following the directions. It's all showing you how you can draw with this brush. And I'm arching, slight arch upwards. Because the rigger holds so much paint, you don't have to keep dipping back in, and because it's a long thin brush, it's quite hard for you to get too precise with it, so it works quite nicely. So I'm just coming in and just creating a few little bits of texture and marks and drawing with the brush. You could do this with an ink pen as well, it would work quite nicely. Put a bit of dark under these tusks. Extra bit of dark in here. Do a few extra wrinkly bits on the ears. Lots of wrinkly bits on the belly. Less is more when you're doing something like this. Don't go mad, but you can follow that arch and really get a nice cylindrical feel happening. It's like a crisscross on the back there. Put a few lines on the leg. And it's just all added texture. It works really nicely. It's really effective, and I do encourage you to have a go at doing something nice and loose like this. There we go. So we're all finished. If you've enjoyed today, please do let me know. This is the first one of doing something really loose animal wise. I can do more like this. Please do like, subscribe, share, comment. I'll pop another video just here and a beginner's playlist just here for you, and I shall see you next time.